Welcome to GLS Carriers Presents Team Talk. I'm Ken Cox, Francis Ham, Kenny Kuntz. Behind the scenes, we've got Danny.
I waved. You can't see it.
He waved. And we are
Drivers for Drivers.
I didn't do it that time.
I did it for you. Drivers for Drivers. That's how Ken does it.
Yeah. Oh, no. Today's going to be horrible now. Drivers for Drivers. I was a little slow. I've been hydrating.
Good.
Yeah, we got some water here, too.
Good.
It's been kind of warm outside.
Kind of.
A little bit.
Whole bunch.
Yeah, a whole bunch. The chickens at the house, they're hot. Those feathers, I get it. I was out at a lake this last weekend, and some lady was like, "Hey, is that beard warm?" I go, "Yeah, a little bit." I start walking, and she goes, "You're strange."
What? How old was she? 2?
Old enough to know better.
Did you show her your sunburn around it?
I use it to hide my double chin, but because of hydration, I've lost a little bit of that.
Hey, do chickens sweat?
No, they don't. So the way they cool themselves off is through their feet. And so we have water that they can walk through. We'll have little misters up there, and they'll go through that, to cool them down.
Huh. I just never thought that.
It's pretty. They're weird creatures. They're funny to watch, though. They sure are. So we got a birthday in the office. We want to say happy birthday to you, Breezy.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Glad you are part of the team.
Absolutely.
You bring a lot to the table, and so happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
That was a whistle.
That was a whistle. We've got a few questions from people outside of trucking that have had some cool questions. Danny, do you have those?
Yeah, these. I don't know if you want me to say their name.
Yeah, that's fine.
This is one from Trissy Cox.
That is my sister.
That's your sister.
I'll be darned.
So yeah, we've got. If you guys are cool, I've got 3 questions. So some viewers have been sending in their questions. So this first one's from Trissy. She says, "Ghost stories while driving. Do you have any ghost stories that anything you've heard of anybody experiencing ghostly experiences?"
I remember one. I wouldn't say it's really a ghost story, but I think after that, people had a tendency to keep their doors closed. So I knew a good friend of mine that was driving. He would run from the Dakotas up into Fargo and deliver. He was coming out of South Dakota, running into North Dakota. And he had stopped one evening, pulled into a fuel stop just right outside of town. He had parked his truck, and he got out and went to grab his gloves, and he opened the driver's door, and he had his gloves right there alongside the seat. And he grabs them and puts them on, opens his tank up and stuff, and starts fueling. He didn't close his door. He's standing right there, and he's fueling his truck. He gets done and puts the nozzle away, puts his gloves back in the cab, closes it up, went inside, got him some snacks and stuff, out of the store, and he gets back in his truck, and he's driving down the road, and he gets about 10 miles down the road, and he starts getting attacked by a bat that had gotten into his truck. And he thought he was getting attacked from something, and not knowing what it was. And it was a pretty dangerous situation there for a second until he kind of realized what was going on, and then pulled the truck over and chased the bat out of the truck. But it was flying all around his cabin and his face and everything else while he was going down the road. So keep your door closed when you're fueling at night.
Dude, I was a little scared until you said what it was. I'm just picturing like somebody sitting in his sleeper, He gets down the road, he's like,
It happened to me once with a moth in Amarillo, Texas. Same thing. It's as big as a bat.
yeah, man, you're good at telling ghost stories. I was getting a little bit scared there.
Starting to sweat a little bit.
Yeah, that was scary.
I'm up in the Yukon, looking at Aurora Borealis, and just driving along. Like, this is really cool. It's kind of weird. Seeing that in person and just cruising along, and it's pretty dark, but there's a big full moon, and I look over and I see what I think is a wolf. It was huge, the biggest. It was bigger than a bear. I mean, it was huge.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe it was there, maybe it wasn't. But I was in the cab driving, and I look over. He's probably, I don't know, 80 yards away. It looked like he could just get up on his hindquarters and look inside the cab. And I mean, like, you're in a semi, you're up there. I mean, this thing was huge. I was afraid. I'm like in this truck doing the speed limit, going down the road, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's gonna get me. Like, yeah, I was freaked out the rest of the trip. I'm checking my mirrors. Yeah, I thought for sure.
Maybe it was a Sasquatch. Maybe you seen Bigfoot.
Could have been. I mean, I'm just saying it was
Maybe
huge.
you should have hydrated and got some rest.
He looks at his water bottle. He's like, "What's in that?"
Yeah, this Canadian water's amazing.
Dude, that's what I was thinking. Is you guys are on the road so much, you see. I mean, that's what I would expect you'd see is like just things that you wouldn't expect to see, like giant wolf creatures or something flying across the road. You know.
Have you guys seen anything crazy like that out on the road? Have you seen Sasquatch? Have you seen?
Let us know.
You never know.
Yeah, we need to know these things.
That's right.
Start documenting them. Have you seen the UFOs?
Yeah.
I guess our government's saying that there are that. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you know, these fighter jets, they fly around at night too. And when one of those dudes is flying low and it scoots across the sky, it gets your attention real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I got another question for you guys.
Okay.
Another viewer asks, how fast can the wind get before becoming too dangerous to drive in?
Oh, that's a good question.
Well, a lot of that depends on the weight you're hauling. If you only got 10,000 pounds in your trailer, a 40-mile-an-hour wind feels like a 100-mile-an-hour wind. So a lot of it will determine on the weight. Most people at 60-mile-an-hour winds, you ran 80,000 pounds, it's still pretty rough. A lot of it's judgment of the driver.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one there knowing if you see your tires coming off the ground, it's probably a little bit too strong.
That's right.
We were just south of Wells, Nevada. We were empty. We were heading down towards California to pick up some produce. And we just get, and the wind's howling, and I'm driving, Mike's in the other seat, and we're going, and all of a sudden, he's looking in the windows, and I'm looking, or the mirrors, and I'm looking in the mirrors, and all of a sudden, I'm like, this isn't right. He's looking back, the trailer tires are up off the ground. I counter, miss the car coming at us, because I'm in the other lane, and I put it all back down, but I don't like driving in the wind. I'll drive in snow, I'll drive in rain. When it comes to wind,
Yeah. I think to put it in perspective, most of our people understand it, but if you've ever carried a piece of plywood outside and doing a project, as soon as you have that plywood in your hand, the wind will blow. And you'll feel that pressure against that plywood. Most of the trucks out there, including ours, are 53-foot long billboards, and take the size of that plywood and amplify it and stretch it out to 53 foot and 8 foot plus tall, and here you go. That's what you've got behind you, so you do catch a lot of wind. I think it depends on, where you're at and what's going on. If you are in an area that is susceptible to high winds, if you can get through that area, I would definitely push on through and get on through there before there's any winds or anything like that. Don't take and stop in the middle of an area like that if you don't have to, get on through there. And if you do find where you have to stop, or if you're traveling through, let's say, the middle of Wyoming and the wind really starts kicking up and it starts getting dangerous, the best thing you can do is find a good safe haven, get off, and point it into the wind. Don't sit there and let it hit you on the side, because it will blow you over right when you're sitting still. Sometimes if you're moving down the road, you don't feel the wind as bad, because you've got that forward momentum. However, when it is blowing like that, you really got to pay attention, because it can change quick.
Certainly can. It makes a difference whether it's a headwind or a tailwind too. It's the side winds that's pretty dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
That's why Wyoming's so bad. You're moving all around. Those winds, especially over elk, come down through them deals, and boy, it's just dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I got another question for you guys. What are the biggest problems you get asked about from drivers the most?
Good question.
I would say when I do get an opportunity to talk to some of our guys, the question from them is what are we seeing in the industry? What's going on? Not just freight rates, but customer demand. They watch the media and they see a lot of things that are going on. There's a lot of things happening in the LTL world right now. I think everybody knows there's been a lot of companies that have not been able to survive, coming into this year with rates and whatnot, and rightfully so. They're concerned, hey, what are you seeing, and I'll tell you what I'm seeing is, first thing, I'm seeing good customer service by our team. That's the first and foremost thing that I'm seeing. They're being safe. They're delivering the products on time. They're picking up on time, and they're doing a great job. Then following that is our customers, the relationships that we have with them is only grown because of the customer service that our team is delivering. Without that, we would probably not be in the position that we're in. So the next thing is we've got some great opportunities that are being offered to us as a preferred carrier with our customers. So we are seeing potentials for growth today. There's plenty of freight that we have right now with our customers to keep our trucks moving. And for our team that's watching this right now, I think you can all agree with it right now. We're not waiting. We're moving. We've got a lot of freight in front of us. And they're doing a great job on getting it run, so no issues there.
A little follow up on that is we're part of this E2 Open. A lot of our customers are in this program, and I believe we just received a report card a couple of days ago, and they rated us on silver, gold, or platinum. Platinum being the highest, and GLS Carriers was in the platinum.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah, so those kind of things help.
Absolutely.
And that takes everyone on the team,
Yep.
drivers, office support, management. It goes a long way when you get those. Makes you feel a little proud that, how you're doing.
Yep.
A lot of companies ain't doing so well right now.
Yep, that's right.
I kind of on that same question, we talked a little bit about this before the show started, about delays. And I was wondering if you guys have any tips on how to avoid delays as much as possible. A lot of it's out of our hands,
Sure.
But wanted to know kind of about that, and then what to expect. Like, are we expecting to see maybe more delays because of things going on in the industry, or tips that you might have on how to avoid those?
Let me answer a little of that. That's one of the big concerns with all drivers, when you're asking what are drivers' concerns. It's going around, if any of you watch TikTok and all of these, drivers getting paid for the wait time, when they average it out over a month and how much they're actually making, we have procedures in place here. We can't control what a shipper or receiver does, but we can compensate for that. Everyone on the team by now knows, if you're sitting somewhere over a couple hours, be letting somebody know. We can let the customer know, try to get it resolved quicker. And we actually are charging for that and compensating the driver. We don't take any of that money. It all goes to the driver. But we will fight for them. There's a lot of things that go into delays. If you got a customer that's getting 300 trucks a day and they got them every 30-minute increments, and they got 400 doors and they got 3 people that's counting the freight coming in, a lot of that we can't control. The workforce anymore. It seems like nobody can hire enough people, or they've thinned out to stay in business. The economy's in a rough place right now. So I just ask everyone to be patient, you know. We're do all we can, and hopefully we can get through it.
Yeah, no, that's right. And I think some of the other things we can do is be on time to the shipper, you know, to load. Be on time for your delivery appointment at the receiver. And then don't procrastinate, especially if you're on a load that loads on a weekend or something like that. You know, if you have your load available to you, it may be on a drop trailer loaded or something, and it's loaded on Saturday and you have a delivery on Monday morning, don't wait to the last minute to take off and get going. You know, that drive may be a 10-hour drive from where you're loading and where you're delivering, but don't leave with 10 hours of time before your appointment. You know, leave early, be able to stop and hydrate without affecting your delivery time. And you just never know what's going to happen. You know, you could have a tire issue along the way. You could lose a wiper. Anything can happen. Just give yourself a little extra time to get there. Get there on time, maybe a little bit early, and maybe they'll get you worked in.
Road construction.
Road construction, for sure.
Spent 2 hours on the highway the other day
Oh my goodness.
trying to get to my concert. 2 hours. Guy blew a steer tire, screwed up my whole day.
Tires. Pre-trip tires.
Right.
I'm gonna make a song.
That's right.
I'll help you with that. We talk about hydration a lot, but we don't talk about dehydration. Not dehydration, but dehydrating. Sometimes you got to stop and dehydrate, if you know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you do. Yep.
So plan for that.
Plan for that, especially when you're first starting out with the hydrations. You're
Yeah.
going to need the dehydrations
Yeah.
quite a bit, and
That's
then you get used to it. But we got any other questions?
That's it for today.
I bet Francis has a safety topic.
Oh, hey, Francis.
I do. You know, we talked a lot about the heat and stuff and tires and what gets affected there. There's one thing that's really cheap, and it goes a long ways when it comes to safety and preventative maintenance, and that's grease.
Absolutely.
And, you know, heat and grease sometimes don't play well together. So if you've ever driven with a dry fifth wheel, it's not good. It's not a good thing. If you think about all the components on a truck that use grease, you know, all of your moving brake mechanisms are greased, your steering linkages are greased, your U-joints are greased. You take a U-joint with all the needle bearings in there and it's running down the road, and, you know, it's 105 degrees. That asphalt's 140 degrees. It's got torque on it from the engine driving. Pretty soon this part's in the 200 plus degrees down there working, you know, and it kind of pushes that grease out of the way. So you want to make sure that you're keeping everything greased. That will prevent and help prevent any kind of mechanical failures. And safety-wise, tie rod ends, things of that nature, if they're not greased and greased correctly, they can break. You can lose steering, you know, so you want to definitely make sure that you got grease in there. And every time you disconnect and connect, you should be inspecting your fifth wheel, you know, making sure that there is ample grease on that so that when you do hook up, you've got a nice surface there that's not going to have all that friction and binding. And, you know, really it plays relevant in the wintertime when you got water and snow and ice. If you don't have a well-greased fifth wheel, that can freeze solid on you when you're going down the road. And there have been times when it's so slick outside, you go to turn and your tractor will not turn. Just that little bit of ice on that fifth wheel will keep that tractor from turning, and it's a real dangerous situation. So
It does help with tire wear as
Absolutely.
well.
Yeah.
It's a huge component in that.
yeah,
When we go through orientation, I recommend the two things that we've talked about at least once a week, putting that fifth wheel grease on, and then to beat feet to your next location, don't dilly-dally. So, yeah, absolutely, fifth wheel grease will save your tires. You'll get that 320,000 miles-ish out of your drive tires. It takes 15 minutes uncouple, check everything, throw some grease on there, couple back up and go.
I agree. I want to mention a little something. We had an incident in Memphis, Tennessee this week.
There's some hot areas.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about heat.
The driver got loaded and he was at hours for the day, so he just parked at this facility where he loaded and slept there. They let him park there. And he woke up, had some guys in his trailer unloading some stuff into their car and taking off. By the time he got out there, they was gone. They seen him rustling around and skedaddled. I think they ended up getting 10 cases of hair care. I don't know what a guy wants with hair care products.
Aquanet.
But always carry a padlock, some way to, ultimately it's our responsibility to protect our customers' freight. It only takes a second, throw your padlock on there. In the wintertime, make sure you're putting some antifreeze in them locks so you can get them back off. But that probably would have deterred them a little bit, from getting in there. Ultimately, it turned out okay. We got an affidavit. Everyone's seen it. There's cameras. But if we weren't at the shipper or receiver and we were at a rest area or truck stop and that happened, most of the time the police won't go on to private property to investigate something like that. You either catch them, which is pretty dangerous.
Yeah, I don't recommend doing that.
Yeah, so let's do our due diligence to secure our loads for sure.
Absolutely. And you're talking about locks, and it just triggered a memory of mine. I used to have a little spray bottle of 3-in-1 lockies is what it was called. And using that stuff in a lock, I never had a problem with the key not being able to turn it. Matter of fact, I think I would shoot that thing probably once a quarter or something like that, not a whole bunch. But it got easier and easier to put the key in and unlock those locks, the older they got, and I never had anything freeze on those things. I think I have some of that at the house still, but it's good stuff, because I do remember running down the road and you get salt and grime and all kinds of stuff that gets up into those locks, and then they become a real bear, to try to open. But just using that stuff, kind of like a preventative maintenance on your lock, just makes them real easy, no issues.
You got anything else you'd like to add?
No, just again, thank you, everybody that's out there running down the road doing a great job. Sure do appreciate it. It's showing on the scorecards. Definitely appreciate that there. And also showing in our customer who are continuing to offer us additional freight that we can push back on to our team here and keep these trucks moving. So thank you very much for everything you're doing.
Ditto.
Say it.
Ditto.
Well, as we end this episode, we want to thank you for being safe, making the right choices. Remember, you're the eyes and ears on the road. We all succeed. Stutter. We all succeed when you make it home safely to your loved ones.
Thanks.
See ya. He'll get it right next time.
Maybe.